Ow.
Hey besties,
Welcome back to our YouTube channel.
I'm Griffin.
And I'm Spencer.
Since it's Pride Month, we figured we would share our coming out stories as well as some tips to those of you who might be going through the same thing right now. It's never going to be an easy journey, but we're here to make it just a little bit better if we can. Also, thank you guys so much for 10,000 subscribers. We love you guys so much, and I can't wait to post more videos. So I'm going to start this off, and I'm going to take you guys back to the very beginning. So ever since I was a kid, I think it's a common theme that most people who are gay knew from a very early age that something was different about them compared to other kids. And the biggest indicator for me is Halloween. One year, I think I was really, really young. All the other boys wanted to be like, you know, Power Rangers, pirates, firefighters, all that good stuff. I wanted to be a princess. And I actually don't think I've ever told this story to my closest friends. Spencer doesn't even know this story, I don't think, unless my parents told you. Because they love to bring up this story all the time. But anyways, I wanted to be a princess, and it drove my parents like absolutely nuts because they had me this like cool Power Rangers costume. And they just threw an absolute fit over it, and I just couldn't wrap my head around like what was so wrong about that at the time. And obviously growing up through middle school and high school, I did start to realize what was so quote unquote odd or weird about that. And it wasn't that it was odd or weird, it was just I was just a different person than all the other boys my age. And growing up in a really small town, I did feel very ostracized almost even. Elementary school, I probably didn't deal with it as much, but I got to like 4th and 5th grade at this private school, and I was a new student there, and you know, kids were definitely not nice to me because I had a higher voice, I had more feminine attributes than like a middle school boy would, and you know, people just definitely gave me hell for it. And it's so embarrassing, but like, it's not embarrassing, it's my story, and like that's just how it is. And it definitely affected me in ways that shouldn't affect a middle school boy, and I definitely went through times in my life where I wasn't happy to, you know, even go to school that day, which is fine. You know, people go through stuff like that, and I do think it made me a better person, and it made me kind of, you know, realize that being nice to everybody is probably one of the most important traits that you can have as a person. And yeah, so that it really affected, you know, just who I was. Whew. Anyways. Oh shit, okay. I never thought I'd be a person to cry on the internet, but like, and I know I'm laughing at the same time, but like, that's just how I cope, y'all. And it definitely wasn't easy for me, like, at all, but, and then luckily, I transferred back to private school. I don't think I've ever even told my parents this, but the reason I wanted to leave that is because of like everything I was going through. And like, luckily I had like a couple friends who like were very nice to me and helped me through that, and probably didn't even realize I was going through it. But anyways, that's that. And then I went to middle school at a public school, and everything became like instantly better. I mean, I still definitely faced like people calling me gay and like making it an awful thing when it's really not an awful thing, it's just who you are. But luckily high school was much better, and then that's when I got a good group of friends, and it helped me realize that no matter who I was or who I wanted to be, I had people that supported me. So throughout high school, I really started to find myself and figure out what I liked about other people and what I was sexually attracted to. And unfortunately, I did have a girlfriend for most of high school, and I think she kind of paid the price for it because, long story short, I'm not going to air her business out, but it just like didn't end well for either party, and she did end up finding out that I was into guys. But the first time I ever came out to somebody, I was 18. It was during COVID, and I was on a beach trip to Savannah with two of my closest friends, Josie and Emily. And I ended up telling them, they were the first people I ever told, and they showed me so much love and support. And it was, honestly, it was just such a beautiful moment between friends. And we sat there on the couch. God, what was that movie with Lady Gaga? A Star Is Born. We just got done watching A Star Is Born, And we just like all sat there and like cried on the couch, and like it was really cute. And they like made me show them like the type of guys that I was interested in. But I didn't tell anybody else until 3 years later, until college. Fast forward, the next person I told was my roommate Jackson at the time, and he accepted me, I think, probably more than like almost anybody I've ever met. Mind you, Jackson is like this like super frat bro, like one of my closest friends in college. Like we had like the best time, and he was so kind to me about it. It made me feel really loved and accepted. And then I finally got to the point of being able to tell my parents. And I didn't tell my parents until I started dating Spencer, which was crazy to believe that I had a boyfriend before I told my parents. But we'd actually been together about 6 months when I told my parents, and they met me with a lot of love. I mean, as a parent, I can see how it can be an interesting topic to deal with, especially like being from where I'm from and being taught all the lessons that I was taught through life. They have a really hard time understanding what it is and what it means, and that it's not a choice and it's not a lifestyle. It's who you are. And they met me with a lot of love, mind you. They were never did anything that made me feel like they didn't approve of it, but it did take them some time to realize that it was okay. Even still to this day, you know, we go through times where there's learning periods, and when you are coming out, and you have to give grace to other people, because they don't know how long you've been going through this. They don't know what the struggles are, and they don't know how to meet you with love and kindness other than just telling you that sometimes. But I think that's an important thing that we need to learn as gay people, is giving other people patience. Because they deserve it too. Just like they're giving you, they deserve patience to learn and to understand what's okay, what's not okay, and to not ask you if you're a top or a bottom. And honestly, I still feel like I come out almost every day. I mean, you know, we are online and we do talk about our relationship, but it has been such a beautiful journey, and I genuinely don't feel like my life started lifing, or I started living, until I came out. And I think that's one of the best things that's ever happened to me, is just truly accepting myself and learning it's okay. It's okay to be you. It's okay to love who you want to love. So that is my story. Another thing I have to tell y'all, I have not shared this on any social media yet before. My family found out through mine and Spencer's TikToks. Do you remember that?
Like your aunt?
Yes, like my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, like everybody found out through social media. I can say that every single person I've told, I haven't really had too many bad reactions. I've definitely lost like a couple friends from it, but nobody that I cared to lose. And I think y'all will also come to realize the more you tell people, and if they don't accept you, those aren't the kind of people that you want in your life, you know?
Period.
That is my story, and to anybody else coming to terms with who you are, just know that you are loved and you're supported, not only by yourself, which may be the hardest at times, but by us, and I'm sure there's people around you that support and love you just as much as we do.
Getting into my story, taking it all the way back, growing up like everyone else, I think you have that feeling that something is different or off about you. You don't really know what, but as I got older, I noticed other boys weren't playing with dolls. Even there were some connotations of, I could tell my dad didn't like that I played with dolls, and there was something wrong about it. And I think all those early experiences from a young age just kind of built this internal shame that never got dealt with, never got resolved. And I just kind of grew up feeling that feeling like something was wrong, but I just never knew quite what it was. Then, of course, I got to middle school, and this is where kids, I think, are their most brutal. People will point out anything and everything, so I think almost as a way to protect themselves. So if you're slightly different and they can pick on you and they can feel better than you, they're going to do it. I had a really high-pitched voice, constantly got told I sounded like a girl, which that used to be my biggest insecurity. I think that one really affected me and made me feel like just even talking outed me, essentially. The way that I my mannerisms and the way I conducted myself was wrong and shameful in some way. And I mean, that comes with, people constantly coming up to you, asking you if you're gay, when at the time I didn't really even know what that meant. And so that can just be such a confusing thing to grapple with. And it can lead to you feeling incredibly lonely. I know I did for a period of time. I had friends, but no one to really understand you. And this is actually something common to both of us. We're also both only children. So there's that other side of loneliness where I don't even have siblings to make me feel like I'm normal. And also the pressure from being your parents' only child. You don't want to be a mess up when you're the only one. So that's essentially middle school. I got very lucky to where I moved out of state in high school, and this completely 360'd my life. I had grown up a bit more, gone through puberty a bit more, whatever. Wasn't entirely obvious that I was gay, so I got to this new high school. And I just was like, perfect, no one thinks I'm gay, I'm just gonna go crazy, essentially. And so I did that.
He did a personality
flip. 2 months into being at my new school, I showed up to a soccer game, which got invited to play at. It was a varsity soccer game. I showed up there with a water bottle full of Tito's, drunk off my, just so drunk, fell down the bleachers, got suspended for a week. It was a whole thing, and I think that behavior really was just because I was so lost and hurting on the inside that I was just trying to be anything but the gay kid. And I did succeed at that. I had a string of girlfriends that helped mask that for a while, but at the time this was when I was dating my last girlfriend, around this time I just started to get really depressed. I wasn't happy with my life. I felt like something inside of me was just so wrong, and it all came to a head one night when I decided to watch Call Me By Your Name. It was the first representation of a coming of age gay story that I had ever watched, and there is a monologue at the end of that movie where the dad says something along the lines of, he says something I'll have to put a clip in here, I can't remember entirely what it is.
But to make yourself feel nothing, so as not to feel anything. What a waste.
But it's essentially what a waste it is to not love truly and authentically. And what that really hit home for me is, why am I hiding a part of myself and not living authentically to please others around me when I'm not happy with myself? Why am I so concerned about what other people think about me to the point of where I am just not happy? And so after watching that movie, I think I watched it for 4 nights in a row, bawled my eyes out every time. Watching that movie just really shifted something inside of me and made me see myself and the others through a whole new lens. And this is the start of what led to me accepting myself and also coming out. Shortly after that, I broke up with my girlfriend for obvious reasons. I just couldn't do it anymore. The faking gets to such a point to where it's just torturous to pretend. And so I was just really sad for a bit. This became noticeable to a lot of my close friends. Sorry, the camera just overheated, but picking up from where I was at. So one night, some of our friends' parents were out of town, and we were having a little party at their house. And as alcohol tends to do, I got feeling a little loose, less inhibited than I might usually be. And so one of my first girlfriends, Chloe, she pulled me into a room and she just asked me, are you okay? You seem so sad. What's wrong? And this is where I just broke down completely and told her that I was gay. It was an immediate weight off my shoulders, just so hard to do, but I physically felt lighter. And she accepted me beautifully, and it just made me so happy to have someone accept me for who I was and be able to be authentic and share myself in that way. Funny enough, the girl that I had just broken up with was also at that party, so then I pulled her aside and told her as well, and it was kind of just that was the start of the snowball effect to me coming out. I think it was maybe a week later, I sat down with my mom and told her, just sat her down in my kitchen and was I have something to tell you. I'm gay, and she was very like happy that I told her that, and I think she was just relieved that I wasn't in trouble or something, as I tended to do in high school. Yeah, and then same thing with my dad. I think I waited to tell him a week later, sat him down. It was actually a really sweet moment between me and him. He cried, teared up. I think both my parents like cried and teared up, not because they were mad or like any. I think if anything sad, but also just that level of like intimacy, vulnerability. It just was very emotional for all of us, and it was really just a beautiful thing. All these positive reactions just continue to build this confidence within me that who I am is okay, and that people that truly love me will accept me for who I am. The confidence that that gave me going forward, I slowly just started coming out to all my other friends. I had a group of straight guys that I was close with. Actually, probably one of the funniest I think this was the funniest instance of when I came out. I was sitting with one of my friends, Sean, and he like asked me my like top 5 like hottest girls in our school or something. And this was after I'd started coming out, and I was thinking, I was like panicking trying to make a list, and I was like, why am I even trying to lie about this right now? So I was just like, I got something to tell you, and I just told him like I'm actually gay. Like I don't know, I don't have a list. I could tell you guys though. But I was just, and from there, people started to find out and whatnot. What really helped me is all this transpired around the time COVID hit. I was a junior in high school. COVID hit. We all got out of school early, and being outside of that environment really just like gave me the space to like feel like I could be who I was. Then I wouldn't have to go into school the next day and deal with people talking to me about it, whispering about it, whatever. Because at some point it eventually did spread. A lot of people thought I got outed and stuff, and it was just like, no, like I told a couple people, and I think that's how it works. When you're in high school like that, it's gonna get spread around. But going from there, I really just kind of started to live my life authentically. Went to college, and eventually met Griffin, who I was dead set on finding a boyfriend at this point. I was like, okay, I'm out. I want a boyfriend, and luckily I did. And it's been a crazy, fun ride. But ultimately, I think people that are kind and genuine people aren't going to care if you're gay. Like, that's not going to affect whether or not they like you. Just being yourself and being nice to others is like what's gonna make people like you, and being authentic and really embodying your truth is something that people are naturally drawn to. And I think a lot of the times it makes people feel safe to be themselves as well, because even if they're not gay, people hide so much of themselves that they are ashamed of. And so when you are able to be so raw and authentic with something that is deeply personal and intimate, being gay is like your deepest, darkest secret. And so even just sharing that with one person, let alone 3, 4, 5, it's incredibly scary. And like it used to be something that I would freak out about. I've reached a point in my life where I'm really proud of the fact that I'm gay, and I would never take back the way that it has shaped and molded me into who I am today.
Y'all, the reason I keep looking over here is because Kai is being the cutest thing I've ever seen. It's been stretching.
This is our little
sleeping.
Oh, he's asleep. This is our little assistant Kai. He's camera shy. You're not gonna look at him.
Oh. Brief intermission. So throughout this entire journey, me and Spencer have been doing content for about a little bit over a year now. And I've just found so much love and support through you guys, and I know Spencer feels the exact same way. Y'all are the best thing that has ever happened to us, me especially. Like, I've always dreamed of like having a community like the one that we've built, and I hope you guys know just like how seen and heard and loved that y'all make me feel. Genuinely, I love each and every one of y'all, and I wish I could give y'all all just the biggest, fattest hug. We appreciate this platform, we appreciate you guys, and you make our lives so special, and we wouldn't be who we are without y'all.
And with that, if you stay till the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. It really means the world to us, as Griffin just described, and happy Pride Month to everyone. If you're watching this video and struggling with coming out yourself, I hope you know that our comments, messages are always open. Please don't be afraid to reach out to us, anyone else, because it can be a very difficult process.
It's really difficult to go through this journey alone, and there are people out there who are going to be there for you, regardless of how you feel right now. Thank y'all so much for watching. We love each and every one of y'all. Happy Pride. Be yourself. Do your thing.
And love you guys.
Love y'all. Bye.